Hi, so basically what I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to summarize a story for religion in the most simplest terms because this is a book in which you can do so. It is The Dead Man Walking by Helen Prejean. Um, this is a story that is basically a really short story conveyed into 260 something pages. So I can do this. So also, if you're in my class, you can easily cheat off of me because there's an in-class assignment, and I don't really think anyone's going to enforce anything. So, this is the basics of it. Okay, um, there's this woman, Sister Helen Prejean. She narrates the story. Sister Helen Prejean, or sister, just call her Helen. Helen is a nun who works with the poor. However, a police commissioner named Chava asked her if she wants to be pen pals with a death row inmate. And if you don't know what a death row inmate is, a death row inmate is someone who is going to go into, or is going to be executed for killing people in the past, or their crimes by the state itself. So it's not like, it's capital punishment. If you don't know what capital punishment is, I can't help you. Google it. Anyway, as the story goes on, they become really close. However, in the beginning, he was hesitant of befriending her because basically he didn't want to become close with anyone because he was in jail. He's going to die soon. It wouldn't be worth it, etc., etc., etc. He never really talked to anyone. He was basically in isolation. However, when he got her mail, he saw the name Helen and it reminded him of his ex-wife. So he was like, oh, well, I'll read it. And then he opened it and it was like a sister. And he was like, oh, yeah, sure. And then he writes back and she was expecting a no, but yes. Anyways, they become closer and she applies to be his spiritual advisor. That's a question on the thing, on the, whatchamacallit, question study guide. So she's a spiritual advisor, and what a spiritual advisor does is supposed to make it easier for him to die, in essence. However, she takes her role as a spiritual advisor and turns herself into an advocate for his. She's stupid to a certain extent. Personally, I think she's stupid because she was advocating for him, and this leads to the controversy. So she's very innocent-minded. This nun doesn't know what she's doing. She sides with him, and then she knows there's repercussions because she thinks about it. She's like, what if the family starts hating me? And when the court comes and the court cases go on, they literally when she pleads for him, the after the second attorney, the better attorney comes, and I'll tell you why there's a better attorney because the first attorney was an idiot, which caused all the problems. But anyways, when she meets with the Mr. Blanco or something like that, when she meets with him, the first thing that he says is, "Why didn't you come to us first? Didn't you think about how we felt? Aren't you a nun?" And then when she calls him at night, he asks her, "Are you a communist?" And the reason why he asked her she was a communist is because of the way she was acting. But she didn't know any better, so it's technically not her fault. But furthermore, the story goes on. His name, the death row inmate, I should have probably already told you this, is Elmo Patrick Sonnier. Sonnier. And this is very important because his brother, Eddie Sonnier, is the real criminal, but he's only serving life in prison. Indeed, what they did was both of them. I should have probably told you guys this before I went on that rant, but what they did was him and his brother went into a field with two teenagers. His brother raped and killed both of them, but he took the blame for it. Eddie killed them, and Patrick took the blame for it. He raped them and then he killed them. But there was one guy, one woman. He didn't rape the guy. He's not gay. Yeah. So the story goes on, and his brother just feels awful about this. But in essence, both of their lives could have been, one of their lives, Patrick's life, could have been saved if he had a better attorney. This is a great point, and this is a very significant point made in the story. I know I'm yelling at you guys, I'm sorry. Okay, so the first attorney is an idiot. He should have done a lot of things that he didn't do, but they later on, but anyways. So he was supposed to, first he didn't try him for, or rather, he didn't specify that why was he being charged with first-degree murder if they didn't know who killed them. So what the first attorney did was he convoluted everything and basically said, he told one of them that they weren't going to play, or they weren't going to blame each other, and then he told the other one that they were going to blame each other. So Eddie blamed his brother, and his brother didn't know what to do because he thought they weren't going to confess. So he didn't know what to do, so he just stood still, and he let his brother testify against him. So Eddie testified against Patrick, and Patrick didn't know what to do, so he didn't say anything, and Patrick was blamed for it. But they didn't have a reason to try him for first-degree murder. Now, if you don't know what first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter, third-degree murder, you might have heard about this during the time of Zimmerman trials, but first-degree murder is incentivized, and they didn't prove that. The court didn't prove that, but the defense should have. So later on, Sister Helen Prejean goes on to bring up all these arguments with a new attorney, and they try to save this guy's life. But her purpose should not have been to get involved in this, and she realizes this later hand because the family's just distraught. So basically, it's a story of a guy who is dying, or a guy who's dying, and this woman becomes his pen pal, best friend, and she has to witness his execution through the electric chair. I forgot to tell you guys this. Electric chair, and this was like hated during the time because the people still lived through it and they felt the pain, which isn't like a noose where you can just die instantaneously. But during the time they thought it was instantaneous death, but in actuality it was a 4 to 5 minute death. In Patrick's case, it was exactly that. He felt the burn for 4 to 5 minutes. Not joking, like felt the burn. But anyways, yeah, that's the basics of the story. If you want to know more about it, just ask me. I don't know, maybe I'll add another one. Maybe I'll do one for the English if you guys really need it. But I wrote it down, and I needed to talk more about it, but I didn't. If you guys want to know anything, just ask. Physics, I can help you guys with. Finish that. APUS, if anyone wants. I have notes, but I didn't really finish. Yeah. Spanish 4, if anyone wants. I'm going to be working on it, but when I finish, I'll probably post it. So yeah, if you guys want anything, ask.